The 26th edition of the United Nations Climate Change Conference, also known as COP26, is the most important since 2015. That's when the Paris Agreement was signed and adopted. The summit is scheduled to take place in the city of Glasgow in Scotland. It will be held between the 31st of October and the 12th of November. So let's look ahead to that summit now with the Minister of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries, Creecy, who joins us now to unpack whether we have a good story to tell as we head to COP26. Minister, thank you so much for making time. So that climate conference is just 2 weeks away, and South Africa has promised to be climate resilient. Are we going to the conference as South Africa with a good story to tell when it comes to our climate commitments?
Good afternoon, Clement, and greetings to all your viewers. Yes, I think that South Africa is going to the conference with an ambitious, nationally determined contribution to reducing greenhouse gases. The top range of our revised NDC is compliant with the UNFCCC's 2-degree target, and the bottom of our range is compliant with the 1.5-degree average global temperature increase, which is what scientists in the most recent report that has been released have been advocating as being an important target for the world to aspire to. So I think that we have indicated ambition with regard to our own contribution to reducing greenhouse gases. What we're looking forward to at Madrid is to see ambition on all three aspects of Paris: means of financing from developed to developing countries, and also a clear work program around adaptation, because what we understand is that every country in the world is now grappling with the reality of climate change and its impact on all aspects of our lives.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no greater urgency, right, to deliver and even implement these real actionable outcomes than right now as we're in the global pandemic. What do you think as South Africa we need to do to speed up the implementation of those commitments and make the necessary reforms? I was listening to, in fact, reading President Cyril Ramaphosa's weekly newsletter where he indicated that the country's electricity sector, and we know it produces up to 41% of the country's greenhouse gas emissions, will be the first and quickest to decarbonize, and ESCOM will play an instrumental role in achieving this, especially given how it's now the biggest polluter in the world. So the time to phase out our reliance on coal and fossil fuel is now, but do we have the funding for this transition? And are these developed countries making that commitment to fund this transition?
Clement, I think that there's two important issues here, and you've spoken about the one, which is that it's important that developed countries honor their obligations in terms of the Paris Agreement to provide support to developing countries. We want to be ambitious. Where we get to in our revised NDC range really depends on the extent to which we can mobilize multilateral support in the form of grants, in the form of concessional financing, and also, of course, in terms of loans and private sector investment. So that's, I think, one very important issue. The second important issue is the issue of climate justice. What we understand is that certain sectors of our society are more vulnerable than others. One example would be those involved in the coal value chain. Our country has made a commitment that as we transition, we are not going to leave those workers behind, and we're not going to have a situation where they carry a disproportionate burden for the climate transition. And this obviously is work that we are busy doing at the moment. We have a proof of concept project around Komati power station, and we're looking at exactly what will it mean to repurpose this power station, to retrain these workers, and to ensure that the transition adequately delivers on the job opportunities and the growth opportunities that are promised.
Yeah, Can you give us an update on the discussions with the climate envoys from the UK, France, Germany and the EU that arrived in South Africa, I think, last month? The discussions have been underway on a possible coal retirement plan. I know South Africa was signaling that it really wants to come to the party, but these developed economies need to pick up the tab. But it really sometimes seems like, the Minister of Mineral Resources is a bit skeptical. Are you speaking in one voice as government? And what's your official position when it comes to this issue of funding, but also the issue of when exactly to start phasing out coal?
Look, I think that obviously all ministers, including the Minister of Minerals and Energies, are concerned about the issue of energy security. And I think that we've just been through another week of load shedding. We all have to take that into account. And so the issue of what is the energy mix going forward is really important. Renewables are going to play a significant role. Gas is an important transition enabler. Already we have seen that Coburg plays an important role in energy security. So these are all considerations that will have to be taken into account going forward. I don't think that there is division in government. I think that the team which I led to meet with the envoys had a cabinet mandate, and we are still pursuing discussions. Obviously, we are a developing country. We're a country with complexities in terms of debt. What is important for us is to fully understand the balance between loans and concessional and grant financing. And we're still seeking clarity on these matters and exploring options with developed countries.